All right, welcome back to Speak for Yourself from the crib. Jason Whitlock, Marcellus Wiley. All right, hopefully soon we're going to have Jim Jackson, but we'll start with the NBA considering, Marcellus, playing a game of horse, televising a game of horse, guys playing from their homes and doing this, I guess, over satellite, not in the same gym, but listen, I'm old enough to remember when I think Wide World of Sports or somebody, they used to have NBA players playing horse during the off season, and it was kind of fun. But that was like the 1970s. In 2020, can you still do that and be entertaining and interesting? Marcellus, would you enjoy seeing NBA players playing horse?
Hold on 1 second. Oh, too much cheese. Too much cheese. My stomach hurt. Hell no. Look, I was on the fence with the NBA 2K, and I gave him 11 minutes of my time that I would never get back because Kevin Durant and all his greatness and star power were just staring at the screen. I was like, say something, do something. So I was like, that's a bad idea. You want to know what's a worse idea? Going out there playing horse. And the NBA is right now in a very peculiar place, obviously, because who doesn't want sports back? And they're trying to rush it back in doses just to keep their fans satisfied. I get that. But this is not going to work. They tried it. Don't forget, you don't even have to go back to the 80s, big dog. Let's go 2009, 2010 at the All-Star game. They tried horse. They stopped it in 2011 and haven't done it since because they saw the results. They saw that their fans were not interested in watching their stars play horse. So my example for this is the old saying that absence makes the heart grow fonder. Now, most people understand what that means. That means when we have distance, I'm going to appreciate you even more. But you got to remember the fine details of that distance. Is when you know the other person or thing is coming back. That's when your heart grows fonder. Hey, baby, I got to go on a trip to New York for a week. Okay, in that week, she's going to miss you. You're going to miss her. But this is not that. This is the NBA because of the virus and the pandemic just disappearing and not knowing when it's going to come back. So sometimes it's okay to just stay away from the sport. Don't even try to give us a sliver of it. Don't try to give us a piece of it. Just disappear from the sport and come back when you're at full throttle. I'm not liking this, and I don't think I'm going to tune in.
All right, before I sound off even more, let's go out to Jim Jackson's crib. We have Jim Jackson here. And, Jim, want your thoughts. NBA talking about playing horse. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Mm-hmm. You know what? The way Marcellus did it, man, you don't want to see that. What else you got to do, bro? What else you got to do? Huh?
3 kids and a wife, homie. What's up? I got that. Real life.
You know, for a minute,
real life.
I thought it was kind of a good idea, but then you just broke down everything. But listen, I give Adam Silver a lot of credit. He's trying to be creative in the fact of giving content. And I'm sure they talk to their TV networks, their sponsors, to get something viable. I don't know how viable the idea is in regards to what people may think about it. I think it could be fun. Imagine having Trae Young, Steph Curry, you can say Klay Thompson, Lillard, Duncan, all trying to do crazy stuff. It's some form of entertainment. It's not a one-on-one game. It's not something like that. It gives us a little content. I will give the NBA credit just for trying to be creative. Without watching, I'll watch it once. I don't think it has to be something that is a continual type of competition. But I like the idea of just being creative. But man, here I got something for you, Marcellus, right here, man. A sippy cup, man. Dang, man, you just everything right there, man. Take the sippy cup. My son is asleep, man. He taking a nap, but then I get that to you, man.
Hey,
I'm going to tell you why Marcellus is.
No, I'm just saying, be real, man. Look, if you watch the NBA 2K and they had Ronnie 2K hosting it, hey, man, nothing against Ronnie 2K, but he was putting an impossible job, brother, trying to keep this thing afloat, trying to keep these 2 NBA players and entertained. Like, you imagine when you're not around someone, you don't have the same chemistry, same energy. You're in your isolated gym trying to say, okay, bank shot from deep. And then some dude via Skype is going to sit there and say, okay, I raised your shot. Man, that's so corny, man. Get out my face.
Yeah, the concept sounds good, but the logistics is a little bit tough to do. I get you.
Yeah, stop.
And I'm going to tell you the other issue, man. It's like, again, I'm old enough. It's like I remember the game Atari. And I've tried to, like, I once bought an Atari in the last 5 years. Like, I bet you it'd still be fun. No, it's not. They got PS4s, they got Xbox. Some things just go out of style, and it ain't no fun no more. And it's like the game of horse televised. I just don't see it. No how, no way. All right, let's transition to another NBA topic. Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, all inducted into the Hall of Fame this weekend, which leads to an obvious question about Kobe Bryant versus Tim Duncan. We're going to leave Kevin Garnett out of this. Clearly, he's the third best of these two players. Who had a better career, better player, Tim Duncan or Kobe Bryant? Marcellus, get us rolling.
I think anybody who answers this has to respectfully first say, this is close. But then you can start to understand that there is a difference in these two careers. And the difference is the heights of Kobe Bryant versus the heights of Tim Duncan. And not just in accomplishment, but in style, in the way that you accomplish those feats. So I'm going to go with Kobe Bryant. And my boy Max Kellerman told me one time, when you're judging a boxing match round by round, and it's really tight, and you don't know who really won it, he said there's a real simple answer for it. Just say who you rather be in that fight, in that round. And if you think about it, who would you rather have been? Kobe Bryant as a basketball player or Tim Duncan as a basketball player? Using that logic, to me, I think that most people, including myself, is going to say they'd rather been Kobe because the 5 championships are the same, but they look a little different when Kobe accomplished his. I'm going with Kobe.
You know, it's splitting hairs. It depends on what you're looking at. Now, Jason, you talked about player career. Who's the best player? I think Kobe's the best player, of course, from that perspective, but not by a large margin. They're just totally different. Career-wise, Tim Duncan had a few more defensive, second teams than Kobe did. But it depends on what lens you're looking to. To me, both are Hall of Famers. Both are probably top 10. I think Tim Duncan kind of redefined a little bit how we looked at a 7-footer, not playing center, playing more power forward. At his size, Hakeem was only about 6'10", to be honest with you, playing center, doing some things that we haven't seen. Tim Duncan was a little bit different, never really wanted to be considered a center, was more of that force. He may go down as the best power forward to ever play the game. And again, his styles were so different. Kobe's impact on the game, not just from here in the States, but internationally, is something that plays into that a little bit more in regards to career because of what he was able to, I think, establish himself as a worldwide phenomenon in that regards of how people view him internationally. Tim Duncan was stoic. He really didn't know what he thought, but he was a fiery competitor. He just went about his business a lot differently. But when you do that, I don't think people give you the amount of credit you deserve because it's not always in your face all the time, kind of like the competitiveness of a Michael Jordan, of a Kobe Bryant, like that. So it is splitting hairs. But again, I think to your point, Marcellus, too, who would you rather be? Me, I'm a guard. So, I look at it from Kobe's perspective. I had the honor to play with him. I mean, the things that he did play and win a little bit differently, maybe not as efficient as Tim, but most players are not on the perimeter as efficient as centers anyway. But I will give the slight edge to Kobe.
Listen, guys, clearly we're splitting hairs. You can make a case for either one of these guys. Jim, you said something. Tim Duncan, best power forward of all time. You could argue that. You can never argue that Kobe was the best shooting guard of all time. We know because of Michael Jordan, can't be done. So here's Tim, the best at his position of all time. 5 championships, I think 2 regular season MVPs, with one team the entire time. Both guys were. Tim Duncan, I just got to say it, never involved in any type of controversy, never involved in anything that put his character in question, things like that. So is it easier to relate to Kobe? He's 6'5", 6'6", whereas Tim Duncan's a 7-footer. It's a lot easier to relate to Kobe. You know, he's smaller the whole night. Right. It's hard to relate to the 7-foot NBA players. But if I had to choose who had a better career, it was Tim Duncan. And I think I would even go as far as say better player, better teammate. You can go either way. I don't disagree with anybody, or I can't have a strong argument against anybody that picks Kobe. But, damn, Tim Duncan's pretty hard to beat, man.
No, you know what? And you're not wrong in that assessment. And I'll go back to this. You talk about, I think you made a great point. Being a center is very hard to market centers. Even Yao Ming, when he was at his height, in China, it was Kobe, it was Allen Iverson that were probably more popular than Yao himself. Now, I can take the same argument and say, who's the greatest player to play all time? I think it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. If you look at his accomplishments from high school to college to the NBA, okay, when you took overall totality, but again, because Kareem was stoic, because he had his own things on and off the court in regards to political stance, he wasn't really liked by a lot of media. He wasn't as amenable to the persona, the people, the marketing. So now you tend to cast that off differently, and you don't give him the credit. I think Tim got put in that box as well, because you heard from Tim, but you didn't really know who Tim was. And as close as Kobe was, at least we still got a sense and feel who Kobe Bryant was when he played. With Tim, we really it was like a mystery box on who Tim was. Does he really play hard? Is he competitive? We know he can win. We know he can score. But what is he thinking on the court? Because he didn't really communicate. So I think that when you start, putting everybody in these, the greatest of all times, they tend to leave Tim's name out because of the way he played, and we never really got a chance to know him, which is unfair.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, that Tim Duncan, history is reshaping itself right now. I know they label Kevin Durant as a small forward, but he's bigger than Tim Duncan, so damn it. Yeah. Sooner than later, we won't be able to say that Tim Duncan is the best power forward of all time, because Kevin Durant is certainly going to take that, even if he doesn't have the same amount of championships. So it's just no wrong answer, and I'm glad that respectfully people can have this banter without slandering the other one, because they're both top 10. Let's just make sure we understand that.
Yeah.
I got the argument, though, that I think will make my case a little bit stronger for Tim Duncan. Let's be honest. 10 NBA coaches, if we set 10 NBA coaches down and said, you're starting a franchise, who would you rather have, Kobe Bryant or Tim Duncan? I got to believe 7 to 9 of them would say Tim Duncan.
Well, yeah,
I agree with that. I think so.
I agree with that. Again, there's no right or wrong answer here in regards to who you believe is the better of the two. Your opinion is based on a certain amount of facts. Marcellus is mine. So I'm not going to sit here and say, no, that's incorrect. I think you talk to some players, they may say, well, I'll take Tim over Kobe. Okay? It just depends on who you're talking to and what their criteria, So you're correct in that. It's not a right or wrong answer.
No, he's wrong. Let me help him. He's wrong. I'll tell you this. You know what's crazy? One, it's the physics. So any coach, when you say, okay, they're both A-plus players, well, then you're going to say, which one's the bigger one? Which one's the taller one in basketball, because you're closer to the rim? So physics and in personality, which one is easier to deal with? But guess what those both tell me? That the coach is trying to find the easier path of less resistance. He's trying to find which one makes me not have to do my job as much, basically. And if you look at it, that's not right. As a coach, you're supposed to say, I need to do my job, and I'm employed to coach him up. And that happens a lot in sports, where coaches are like, oh, I don't want to deal with that guy. Oh, this guy's a headache. Oh, this guy's difficult. Oh, this guy doesn't get it. It's like, but you get a check to get the most out of him no matter what the circumstances are. So in PER and win shares, you're right. Tim Duncan beats Kobe Bryant in those deeper categories. But that doesn't mean as a coach you're right because you want the path of least resistance. Because in reality, you get Kobe, you didn't get some slouch and you didn't get something lesser than Tim Duncan. You just got somebody smaller who might show his desire in different ways.
Well, it also
I'm going to go back at you one more time, Marcellus. Let me go one more time. Let's say 10 coaches had to choose between Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Michael Jordan. I think you'd get a 5-5 split on that. But when it's Kobe and Tim Duncan, I think it's overwhelmingly Tim Duncan.
Yeah, you got me. I ain't got nothing for that. Hey, I ain't over here married to nothing but my wife. You got me. Let's go to commercial.
Hey, look, you dropped the mic on that right there. Whitlock, you dropped the mic.
Drop it.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. And be sure to check out more of the best clips from Speak For Yourself or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.